What's up, lovers of whiskey and watchers of YouTube? I'm the Malt activist, and today we are blind tasting three very special rye whiskies at three very different price points. And we are going to taste them blind, and we're going to share the results with you. So let's get cracking. So welcome to my new studio. Actually, it's not a new studio. I'm just sitting slightly higher up and you can see the better part of my torso. I don't know if that's good for more views, but hey, we are going to try everything. Anyway, before we begin, a big shout out and thank you to first-time viewers who clicked through to this channel. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Man, hey, if whiskey is your thing and you like everything about whiskey, then this channel is the one for you. So please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, all of the above, none of the above. Oh man, I'm just glad that you're here. To my returning viewers, thank you once again for keeping a standard so damn low. Appreciate your patronage. And finally, and most importantly, my Patreon and YouTube member gang. You guys are awesome. You're the reason this channel is still up and running. So thank you to everybody. Let's crack on with the review. So you might remember, for those of you who watch the channel regularly, we did a couple of Van Winkles. We did a Pappy. We did I think we did a 15-year-old Pappy, and then we did a 10-year-old Pappy or 10-year-old Van Winkle in our last couple of videos. And I gotta say, we came out very disappointed, extremely disappointed, and not happy with the results. And so I had actually one more from the Van Winkle family with me. This one was a 13-year-old Family Reserve Rye Whiskey. That's right. I've put the graphic up on the screen now. So that's what we had. And I thought to myself, I said, you know, rather than just kind of try it on its own and I'm guessing be disappointed, why don't I blind taste it against two of my other fairly regular drinking bourbons that I have, rye whiskeys that I have in my bar. I'm of course talking about the Colonel E.H. Taylor and of course the Bulleit 95. The glasses that you see in front of me, let me get rid of that. There you go. There are three glasses which have been thoroughly, believe me, when I say thoroughly, they've been thoroughly mixed. I have no clue which one is which. Honest. I mean, I could have done this entire video without tasting them blind, and I would have been really honest with my opinion. But blind is so much more fun, right? So here we have the Colonel E.H. Taylor, we have the Bulleit 95, and in this little sample bottle we have the Van Winkle Family Reserve Rye. And okay, before we begin, let's talk very briefly about the three whiskeys that we have on our chopping block today. Okay, so the whiskey number one is our cheapest whiskey, which is the Bulleit 95. Retails for roughly between $40 and $50, 35 to 45 pounds, depending which part of the world you live in, which state in the US you live in, so it really depends. But this is the cheapest one on the chopping block. Yeah, so I got this for about, I want to say about $40 roughly, $40–45. So it's in that particular price range. It's called the Bulleit 95 because the mash bill is 95% rye grain. That's right, 95% rye grain. So this is very heavily rye skewed. This is bottled at about 45% ABV, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I am not mistaken. This is distilled and aged in the Bulleit, in the Bulleit family tradition. I think this is bought. I have a feeling, if I'm not mistaken, the MGP. Yes, so this whiskey is sourced from the MGP distillery by the guys at Bulleit, and yeah, so that's basically all I know about it. It's a straight rye. At our lowest price point, we have the Bulleit 95, which is made from 95% rye grain. In second place on the price point, we have Colonel E.H. Taylor, straight rye whiskey. This is bottled and bond, so this is a minimum of 4 years old, bottled at 50% ABV or 100 proof. This uses about roughly 65% rye and 35% malted barley. This is, of course, owned by Buffalo Trace, but it is distilled and bottled at the old-fashioned copper distillery. So the spirit that goes in the Colonel E.H. Taylor straight rye is distilled and bottled at the old-fashioned copper distillery, nothing at, of course, Buffalo Trace. Now, finally, this brings us to our whiskey number 3, which is the Van Winkle Family Reserve. This is the full rye. Sorry, not the full rye. This is the minimum 51% rye. This is bottled at 47.8% ABV, and it is around 13 years old. And it has a price point of anywhere between, I mean, depends how stupid you are, if you're willing to pay that kind of money. It's anywhere between $1,200 to $3,000. I mean, take your pick. So, yes, 3 radically different rye whiskeys with fairly radically different mash bills, with the Van Winkle having the most secret mash bill, I guess. So it's a minimum 51%. I don't know how much more it is. If you do know, please leave it in the comments below, and I'm sure somebody of you will. The Colonel E.H. Taylor at 65% rye, and the Bulleit 95 at an almost 100% rye grain in the mash bill, 95%, which is a lot. Okay, enough of me rambling. Let's get tasting. All right. All right, so this is whiskey number 1, all natural color. Unlike the Scotch industry, America does not put up with that bullshit, and I, for one, am very, very thankful for that. So this is our whiskey number 1. We don't know which one it is. It could be anything. I have put it up on the graphics now, which one I'm holding. So let's see. Okay. I like the Colonel E.H. Taylor. I drink the Bulleit 95 fairly regularly, so maybe I can tell the difference. I don't know, but that's not what we're doing right now. We will just rank them, and we'll see which one is better. And I guess the whole exercise is to see whether this particular Van Winkle that I have a sample of, is that worth the money, or are any of them worth the money? So we'll find out. So whiskey number 1. A little subdued, very hard to get the flavors out. Has a dusty warehouse sort of aroma to it. Quite mellow, but I'm gonna say, you know, a bit of salted caramel. Hint of black tea, some pepper. Maybe a hint of date. Yeah, I don't know. Fairly mellow, subdued nose, so I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. They've been sitting in the glass for about, I want to say about 15-20 minutes roughly. So they've had time to settle down. Okay, the nose is not really that remarkable. I think it's okay, but again, you know, like they say, the proof is in the pudding. So let's taste the pudding. Wow. Fairly watered down mouthfeel. Very oak forward, black pepper forward, you know, black peppercorns. Maybe hints of cherry, some dark chocolate. But overall, I don't like the... Not a big fan of this mouthfeel. It should have been fuller, it could have been fuller, but it's not. Seems very watered down. I'm not sure which one this is. I suspect... This is when I start second guessing myself, and then I fuck shit up, right? But I think it's okay for me to guess. I don't mind getting it wrong. I think this might be the Van Winkle, given my experience with the last two. So I don't know. It could be that. because it has a very similar sort of mouthfeel body-wise, which makes me a little unhappy. And I remember feeling that when I had the two bourbons earlier, and so I had a very similar sort of reaction. So yeah, maybe. Again, okay, so as of now, I really don't like this so much. I'm gonna give this about a 6 out of 10 for a C, I guess. Yeah, 6 out of 10 for a C is probably good. Making it just about average, maybe even a touch under, right? So not happy with this whiskey. I'll give this a 6 out of 10. I suspect this is a Van Winkle. I'm not 100% sure. I'm very happy to be proven correct, but let's see. So this whiskey right now in third place at 6 out of 10. All right, on to whiskey number 2. Not happy with the first one. I suspect it might be the Van Winkle. You know, it could be the Van Winkle or the Bulleit. I don't know, but I think more Van Winkle. Let's see. This one is a slightly better nose. It's a little more fullish. I like the maple syrup on this. Yeah, this is more maple syrup, this is more dried roses, a little potpourri. Just hints of cinnamon and clove in there. I like this. This is a much better nose than the first one. Seems more fuller, seems a little more balanced. So yeah, let's see. Not bad, decent. Okay, again, quite spicy. That black peppercorn is there. This is also a little more fruity. This has more cherries and licorice. Ow, this has more cherries and licorice. Maybe just a touch of oak right there. But again, I'm not really happy with this mouthfeel. It's not bad. It's definitely better than the first whiskey. Not by a lot, you know, not by a lot. I'll give this a 6.5. I'll give this a 6.5 C plus, I guess. We could give it a 6.5 C plus. Again, not very happy with this particular style of whiskey, or these last two that I've tasted. So one of them is the Van Winkle and the other one's the Bulleit. I think, I don't know, I could be wrong. Let's see what happens. So that's two whiskeys. This one is 6.5. The first one is a 6. All right, on to the last one. And now finally, whiskey number 3. Ooh, this is far more fruitier. The nose is much nicer, sweeter, a lot more maple syrup, salty caramel, cloves, candied ginger. Pralines, like a sort of almond candy. Nice subtle hints of leather. Coffee beans, like yeah, coffee beans, cocoa beans. So this is the best nose of the 3. I think it might be the Colonel E.H. Taylor. I don't know. This is definitely the best nose of the 3. I like it a lot. Holds up. Holds up definitely better than the other 2. Okay, let's see what this tastes like. Oh. Ew. Wow. That is shit. Ugh. 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 That is so bad. Oh man. That sugared water, that's the Van Winkle. That is the Van Winkle. Guaranteed. That's the Van Winkle. It is shit. Ah, oh, such a good nose, such a nice nose. That's what's been happening. I start off with a really decent nose. I quite like it, and then I put it on my palate and it's just absolute shit. And this one, now I know it has that such a distinct sugared water flavor profile on the palate that I know for 100% that that's the Van Winkle, and I am extremely unhappy with that whiskey. I'm gonna give it a 5. 5 for a, I don't know, a D plus, D, C minus, C minus minus. Yeah, 5. 5 out of 10 for this whiskey. Even though it has a decent nose, it has an absolute shit palate. Wow. I'm disappointed. I'm pretty sure that's the Van Winkle. In fact, I'm 100% sure that's the Van Winkle. We'll see. We'll see. That's it. That's it. So those are my final standings. This is whiskey number 1. This is whiskey number 2. And that is whiskey number 3. And now let's find out. Okay, so before I unveil, let me guess. So I'm pretty sure that's the Van Winkle because it has the worst palate I've ever tasted on a whiskey. I'm now torn between these two. This one being the better of the two. So I think this one's the Bulleit and this one is the Colonel E.H. Taylor. So my guess is first place Colonel E.H. Taylor, second Bulleit Rye, and the third Van Winkle. And now it's time for the review. Whiskey number 3 is yes sir, the Van Winkle. Whiskey number 2, the Bulleit, and of course whiskey number 1, the Colonel E.H. Taylor. So I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised here. The only one thing I'm surprised about is that I really didn't like the E.H. Taylor so much. As I've had on previous occasions, I'm not 100% sure. For some reason, this mouthfeel isn't as good as I thought it was. But it has good flavors on the palate. Yeah, the Bulleit Bourbon is okay. It's not that great. Why do I keep saying Bulleit Bourbon? The Bulleit Rye, the Bulleit 95. It's not that great. It's okay. It's a decent dram. But I gotta say, the Van Winkle Family Reserve 13-year-old rye whiskey, an absolute piece of shit. So there you have it, man. So in first place, the Colonel E.H. Taylor, clocking in at about $100. In second place, the Bulleit 95 straight rye whiskey at about $50. And in third and last place, the useless Van Winkle Family Reserve rye whiskey that goes for around, I don't know, $1,500, $3,000, whatever that stupid price point is. We don't care anymore. I'm so glad that I was able to get my hands on these samples, that I didn't buy these actual whiskeys. Because I would have spent the rest of my life just wondering, you know, have these unicorns eluded me? Have these unbelievably awesome whiskeys rated 100 by whiskey experts, have they eluded me just because I'm too poor? I'm so glad I managed to get hold of these samples so I could see. Dude, definitely useless. So off the lot, I think, you know, I think even the Colonel E.H. Taylor is not worth the $100 that you spend on it. So I would try and find something else. The Bulleit at $50 is probably the best value for money because the difference in quality between the Bulleit and the Colonel E.H. Taylor isn't that much. So, you know, if I'm looking at getting my rye fix, if I'm looking at getting my rye fix, then yeah, buy the Bulleit 95. So from a practicality and value for money point of view, the Bulleit 95 comes out on top as such. In terms of flavor profile, the Colonel E.H. Taylor better than the other two. And absolute bottom of the pile as far as value for money and the taste is concerned is the Van Winkle Family Reserve Rye Whiskey. What a piece of shit. Alright, so there you have it. There you have it. 3 whiskeys, 3 rye whiskeys, tasted blind, 3 different price points. Just to recap, value for money, the Bulleit, overall flavor profile, the Colonel E.H. Taylor, and the one to never ever buy, the Van Winkle Family Reserve. Alrighty then. Okay, there you go. So cool. This was a cool video. I'm glad to be back. I hope you like this new sort of layout where I can fling my arms around and everyone can see what the hell is going on. So thank you. If you like this kind of, if you like this particular layout and format, do leave it in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Yeah, that's it, man. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. I'm the Malt Activist. Until next time, peace.